Hi, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a robot that will track an object using distance sensors. So let me show that to you. So to make a robot that tracks another object, I will make a simple robot design that is comprised of only 2 wheels. So let me select this box button as the frame of the robot car that I'm going to be constructing. If you want to make a robot that can sense objects in its environment, you need to give the machine some form of sensory input for the machine to react to the object in the environment. So to do that, I'm going to add distance sensors to the machine. So when I select the distance sensor, it appears to be a gray pyramid. And when you select the distance sensor, you will notice a red transparent pyramid that is projecting from the gray pyramid. This red pyramid is the area or the field of what it senses. This red area is the area for an object to go through to trigger the distance sensor. For example, if I attach the distance sensor to some other component, like this rocket component, and when I start the simulation, if an object goes through that red pyramid field, it will trigger the component that is connected to the rocket thruster. So if I move this machine forward, you can see that the rocket thruster is getting activated or triggered by the distance sensor. And you are able to see the distance sensor if you select this button at the bottom right corner of the screen that says Show Sensors. Now you can see the sensor field of the distance sensor while this simulation is running. So when I drag an object into that field of the distance sensor, you can see that the component that I have attached the distance sensor to is being triggered. Using this distance sensor component, you can place those distance sensors. The machine can react with objects within its environment. I am now going to use this distance sensor component for this current simple robot design. So I'm going to move the component to be attached to the robot. I'm going to change the shape of the sensor to be a box. You can also change the size of the sensor, just like how you can change the size of other objects. If you select the sensor and hold down Alt, the same white spheres appear. I am going to change the size of the sensor area so that the robot has a better chance tracking an object in its environment. I am now going to attach those 2 distance sensors to the 2 wheels of the robot. And I'm now going to spawn up an object for the robot to sense. So when I start the simulation, either the robot is going to face the object or it will turn away from the object. So let me test it out. As you can see, the robot is not behaving exactly how I want it, because I need to edit the settings of the sensors so the robot can only sense the object and not sense the ground or sense itself. So let me go to the settings to change that to make the robot work properly. I will change this setting in the properties of the distance sensor to ignore attached objects, including joints. This means that the distance sensor field will not detect the robot itself. I am also checking this setting that says ignore static objects. This will ignore the gray platform that the object and the robot are currently on. And I'm also need to switch the polarity or the direction of the wheels of the machine since it is reacting in the opposite direction. So I'm going to change it so that the sensors in the robot will actually respond correctly and will face towards the direction of the object. And one way to do it is to simply change the polarity of the wires. Now I have finished modifying the settings of the machine, including the distance sensors. The robot should be able to turn to the direction of the object. So let me start the simulation. As you can see, the robot is actually tracking the object. But the robot can only track the object if it's in the sensor field. So when I lift the object away or out of the red field, the robot is no longer able to track the object. So the object needs to be in the red fields of the distance sensors for the robot to sense the object. Once I place the object back in the field, now the robot can respond to the object. The settings that I changed in the distance sensor properties window, which allows the machine to be able to keep track of an object at greater distances, since the distance sensors are now no longer being triggered by the gray platform or by the robot itself, which means I can increase the size of the distance sensor fields so that the range of the sensors can be extended to track objects further. So let me change the size of the distance sensor field to show you how good response of the robot is. You can also change the color of the distance sensor fields. By selecting the distance sensor field and clicking enter, that will pop up a properties window, and there is a tab that says appearance. I am going to change this color to blue, just to help me identify which field I am looking at. Okay, I have now finished modifying the sensors. I made one sensor the color red, and this is the left side of the machine. The right distance sensor color blue on the right side of the machine. And when I select the show sensors button, you can see how large I made the field. Now the machine should be able to track the object at a much further distance, so let me test that out. Now the simulation is running. You can see the horns or the pyramids of the machine facing the object. I am dragging the object around the environment to see how fast and how reliable the response of the machine is. And if I select the show sensors button, you can see the two large sensors are rotating with the machine to track the object. As you can see, using the distance sensors attached in a certain way will allow a machine to respond to objects in its environment. And having a machine be designed like this allows a robot to exhibit a behavior that is almost like the machine is now alive. But really, it's just two sensors that are attached to the robot in a certain way that makes it seem like it's exhibiting a reactive behavior. Now I'm going to show you a machine that uses distance sensors to help maintain its balance. As you can see, I have created a Segway or balancing wheel robot. This robot uses the same components as did the simple machine I showed you earlier. I have made this machine to be able to travel forward and backwards while maintaining its balance. When I press spacebar on my keyboard, the robot begins to move forward. And when I press another button on my keyboard, this will make the robot travel the opposite direction. I am also able to rotate the robot on the spot. And when I enable the show sensors button, you can see the two sensors that are in front of the robot and behind the robot. When I try to push the robot to make it tip over, it is difficult for me to knock it over. As you can see, I am clicking and dragging the robot, and the robot is maintaining its balance. Now, I'm going to show you a more complex version of these machines that utilizes those simple components. I made these machines identical to one another. These machines are actually floating in zero gravity, and I made the machines to be able to sense each other. I have placed these gray blocks as obstacles for the machines. I have set up the machines in a way so that they will try to attack each other. So when I start the simulation, they will begin to chase each other at great speed, and they will attack each other. So when I start the simulation, you can see that the machines are now exhibiting a behavior that is like two creatures interacting with one another. I am now going to show you a more complex machine that uses these distance sensors. My machine is a recreation of a DVD player logo that bounces within a screen. When I start the simulation to start the DVD logo bouncing, as you can see, the box is bouncing within this box area. And if I zoom in, you can see the red sensors that are located around the box. Anytime the sensor gets triggered by the wall, it will make these hydraulics contract or expand, which in turn make the machine behave like a DVD player bouncing logo. That's the end of this video. If you like this video, give it a like. If you like my content, please consider hitting the subscribe button. If you have any questions about the game or about me, put your questions in the comments of my videos, and I will try to answer them as soon as I can. If you are interested in playing this game, I will put the official website URL at the end of this video. The game Golems is completely free and takes up very little space on your computer. So thanks for watching. Bye!